You're welcome back to GH Today here on GHOne TV. Thank you very much for staying tuned. It's time for the breakfast review segment. We'll zoom straight into it. My guests are in the studio. Mr. Kwame Jantua is here, and we're always happy to have him in the studio every Tuesday morning. He's a member of the Convention People's Party. He's a legal practitioner as well. And Mr. Jantua, good morning to you.
Morning, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm very fine. I saw your Achimota-ness come out in the morning.
Oh, is that so?
When you were using those words, tagging the words together. You look really like an Achimota boy.
Yeah. Achimota School has a tendency to do that to you.
Yes.
But it's all good. Thank you for joining us here in the studio.
Good English lesson.
Thank you. Also here in the studio is a man who we have missed. We are very happy that he's here in the studio today. Dr. Ezekiel Ajekum Obing. Good morning.
Lantam, good morning.
We have missed you.
Oh, I miss you, particularly Mr. Jantua.
Oh.
No homos.
We haven't seen you in a while.
Yes.
Not even on the other stations that we normally meet.
Yeah. I was doing the Chi ones.
Okay. Well, it's great to have you here in the studio. Dr. Ajekum is a member of the NPP's communications team, and we're happy to have him here in the studio. Professor Sharif Khalid is here in the studio as well, and the excitement that we have for him being in the studio is also high. Prof.
Yeah, good to be here.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
You're
It's been a
looking
while.
sharp.
It's been a while.
Yes, it has. Where have you been hiding?
Looking after you. I'm taking after you.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
I mean, I've not done anything.
I'll see you.
I've not done anything.
He's taking after you and looking sharp.
Yeah.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we
You
should
always
take
look
after
sharp.
Doc. I mean, look how sharp Doc is.
No.
Doc
These
is
days-
looking
these
this
days you have
morning.
enough light to press your shirt.
Oh, I've had very
Uh,
stable light.
triple
Interesting.
location.
I'm still struggling to do that. I have to be ironing in bulk.
Oh, is that so?
But yesterday I slept in Dumso.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
The way Prof is looking sharp, I wonder how he would look if he had light.
Then bring the lights,
The lights
and I
is
can
on.
look
Well,
sharp.
I've had stable lights, for the past few weeks. I have, except for it going off, say, for about 30 minutes, and then it comes back on. I experienced that about twice, but relatively, it's been stable. We are enjoying the light.
Yeah, enjoy.
Yeah.
There's a lot for you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Keep the lights on.
Why do you say
the
why
lights-
do- why
keep the
do you say
lights on.
enjoy the light?
Yeah, we enjoy the lights.
It's a right, too, not a privilege.
So enjoy your
Well, it's true because
It's
we're
right.
paying for it. So if we are paying for it, then
Enjoy
it's
your
right
right,
to enjoy
Lantam.
it. Yeah.
You make it sound as if, we are doing you a favor. I ain't doing us a favor.
I mean, the
It's
light
a
was
right.
going on and off.
It's a right.
now
that we-
it has
So
stabilized.
you shouldn't say enjoy the light as if we've done you a favor, so enjoy it. No.
Enjoy your right.
It is a
Lantam.
right. It's not
Okay,
a
so he says I should
privilege.
enjoy my right.
It's not a privilege. It's a right.
Okay, well, we'll continue to enjoy our rights as Ghanaians. Let's get into the issues, shall we? Because after what happened in court sometime last week in the case involving Dr. Casey Alato-Forson, who is being accused of causing financial loss to the state in the purchase of some ambulances for this country, one of the accused people, Richard Jakpa, who is also a businessman who was facilitating this whole deal, in open court, while he was being cross-examined, made some accusations, leveled some accusations in his testimony or in his cross-examination against the Attorney General, indicating that the Attorney General was involved in a grand plot to implicate the minority leader, who is Dr. Casey Alato-Forson, who is also at the center of all of this. Richard Jakpa said the Attorney General has been calling him at odd hours, has been trying to get him to incriminate Dr. Casey Alato-Forson so that he can be jailed. He said this in open court, leveled these accusations against the Attorney General in open court. And the Attorney General's department later on responded, but the NDC after this believed that this is persecution of Dr. Casey Alato-Forson. They have a press conference later on today. And in fact, that particular case is also going to be called in court today. It's going to continue in court today at 12 noon. That's told to us by our legal affairs correspondent. So in the aftermath of all of this, there's been a lot of back and forth, right? And there are some details that are emerging, that there was a certain meeting at a judge's house. There were plea bargaining attempts. among other things. Richard Jakpa says he has audio recordings, among other things. The Attorney General's department says they've not done anything wrong. There's absolutely no truth to what Richard Jakpa is saying. And in all of this, people are calling for the Attorney General to step aside, for there to be some investigations into this particular subject matter. Are the calls for the Attorney General to step aside in this case legitimate? Or is this all much ado about nothing? Because there are people who believe that this is a serious issue. Mr. Janto, I want to begin with you on this particular one, because of your legal background. Looking at the circumstance that we have where the Attorney General has been accused of deliberately trying to coach a witness to incriminate an accused person, trying to coach one accused person to incriminate another accused person so that that person can be jailed. With all the circumstances surrounding this, do you support calls, or would you agree with calls for the Attorney General to step aside for some investigations to be conducted into this?
Good morning. Good morning to our viewers. Good morning to my fellow panelists. Where are you citing the actual accusation? Are you citing the accusation in the case that is ongoing? Are you citing it outside the case that is ongoing?
I think
Are you expecting the judge to take this into consideration, or the judge to ignore it? At this present moment, it's not part of this case. So the calls, if you're calling for the head of the Attorney General with reference to this case, all those who are accusing within this case should show evidence. If you're attributing to this case, and remember, everybody in this case who is standing as a witness and who is standing as an accused is under oath. So, is your question referring to adducing whatever has taken place with what we're talking about in the case? Are you making it part and parcel of the case? Remember, the Attorney General isn't a witness.
Well, but these calls are being made outside of the case.
Wait. The Attorney General is a lawyer participating in this case, representing the prosecution side. So you can't really see how you attach it to this case. However, if it's outside, then a fresh case should be held against the Attorney General, and thereto evidence should be adduced. However, Martin Pebu has called for a public inquiry into the actions of the Attorney General with reference to what you're saying. He is saying that it is not the first time that the Attorney General has coerced witnesses. And it happened in some of the cases that he was handling. Evidence. Show us evidence. You can't slaughter someone without showing the evidence. Show us that it happened. Show us the time it happened. Show us when it happened. The location it happened. Show the evidence. But it will have to be a separate case. Not unless the judge feels that this is material to the case that is being heard. And if it's material, evidence too would have to be adduced to show that, yes, the Attorney General did coerce other witnesses to do things that were ultra-virus to his profession and to his person. Remember that there is an LI with regards to conduct of lawyers and the judiciary. And in that LI, I think it's clause 3 or so, where it states that no lawyer can, and I'm paraphrasing, no lawyer can interview an accused without going through the accused lawyer. So if we say the Attorney General did try and coerce other witnesses, how was it done? Was his lawyer present? Was the accused lawyer present? Did they, and what Japa said on the witness stand, did it happen on a one-on-one? Did it come through his lawyers? How was it done? So for me, evidence is key. If we get the evidence to show that, yes, the Attorney General did do those things, then we now go on to the next step. It goes into court. He proves he's innocent. The other side proves he's guilty. And the evidence and the laws would determine whether he's guilty or not. So everybody around it is doing what? Is doing commentary. Commentary that might not have any bearing on this case. So somebody like Martin Pebu, he is a lawyer, if he feels strongly about the actions of the Attorney General, where he says there has been coercion by him in some of his own cases, he should take it to court. And let's see what comes out of it. Look, some of these things are very serious accusations, which impinge on people's integrity. So let's take the politics out of it. And I don't want to talk about, he's an MPP or I'm not interested in that. It is impinging on somebody's integrity. The Attorney General has been a lawyer for years. The witnesses that came on there have their integrity to protect. And the only place where we can find the truth is in the courtroom. So let's see where it ends. That is where I'll end my submission.
But in trying to find the truth, should the Attorney General step aside?
Is anybody accused him?
Yes.
Has anybody taken him to court? If it goes to court and there's a case to answer, then maybe, but I don't see it at this material moment because it's got nothing to do with the case at hand at this particular moment.
People argue
that
it's
not material to the case.
But people argue that it's got to do with, it borders on professional misconduct, and it also borders on a host of other things outside of this case.
Well,
like you mentioned.
Seen the evidence?
I have not.
Exactly.
I have not.
We
don't know if there actually is.
If you don't have the evidence, how can you accuse the person? You say Kwame Janto has gone to steal. Show the evidence that he stole. What did he steal? But I say, he's a thief. He's gone to steal. Where's the evidence to show that I stole? So based on evidence, if we can deduce the evidence, and the evidence is so overwhelming, then maybe we will say, Attorney General, step aside for this case to go on. Once you are cleared, you can come back. But at this point, it's all hearsay.
Right. Doc, let me come to you now on this. I mean, what are your thoughts on how this is all playing out and the calls on the Attorney General to step aside, the accusations that have been leveled against him, among other things?
All right. Good morning, Lantam, and good morning to my fellow panelists and the good people of Ghana who have joined us this morning. And let's say a very good morning to Dr. Baumia, wherever he is, and his vision, obviously, for the country. That we so believe that the next chapter, the next phase of the country, what he is proposing to be his vision is what the country needs to move forward. And a very good morning to the Attorney General. Clearly, he's the Achilles heel of a certain cortes. Let's put things in proper perspective. This whole thing at play is a grand scheme to smear the image of the Attorney General. Don't forget, he started a case. People went to court to file no case to the effect that they believed whatever case the Attorney General sent to court had no merit until the court sat and determined that indeed there are some questions that need some answers. Post that, we've clearly heard the attempts at trying to get the Attorney General to drop the case. The phone calls and text messages he's received. In due course, I believe things would unfold properly. like Mr. Jantua clearly stated. But it's on record that the Attorney General has done no such thing. Like I said, everything's a grand scheme because it really beats logical conclusion. We've seen letters emanating from the third accused person trying to bargain or have plea bargain. And we all understand when an accused person in a case tries to seek some out-of-court settlement and come under a certain provision called a plea bargain. We all know what it means. Various letters sent to the Attorney General, the first instance through a certain company, that the Attorney General clearly said, I had no case with you. And then they came back to say that they are acting on authority of the accused person, wanting to once again settle out of court, and the responses the Attorney General gave. So from the third accused person, he's written 3 times through his lawyers to the Attorney General. And then from nowhere, in court, you spring such surprise. Let's put on record and let viewers take note that indeed there was some meeting, an invitation from an honorable Supreme Court judge to the Attorney General, to his home. Don't forget the Attorney General also serves as Minister of Justice, and he's on various committees and has a very good working relationship with the bench. So yes, the Attorney General honored that invitation to the home of the Supreme Court judge. And to his surprise, the third accused person showed up. It's on record. He was invited to the home of the judge. Unbeknown to him, the third accused person was there. And the issue of the plea bargain came up. Once again, unbeknown to both parties, the Attorney General and the Supreme Court judge, a certain recording was made. And it's what is being purported to be a phone conversation between the Attorney General and the third accused person. We are placing on record once again. There hasn't been any phone conversation between the Attorney General and the third accused person. If anything, the only party who in a way can tell the future from where we are today and sought to plead his way out is the third accused person. And evidence is the various letters his lawyer has sent to the Attorney General. And the issue of the fact that people are claiming that the Attorney General engaged the third accused person without his counsel. Once again, we are placing on record that the third accused person announced to have parted ways with his lawyer in court before the said meeting. And clearly, I'm not a lawyer. Mr. Jantua can throw more light on it. But an accused person or a defendant or respondent in a case without a counsel, the prosecutor or whoever is in charge of the case or prosecuting the case can engage such person without lawyers. But the Attorney General did no such thing. He's received a lot of messages purported to have emanated from the third accused person, for which he has not even answered a single one of the text messages. And like I said, he was invited to the home of the Supreme Court judge. And from nowhere, the third accused person showed up. And the third accused person was introduced to the Attorney General to be a relative of the judge. And then the issue of the plea bargain came in. I believe strongly that if the Attorney General knew that the meeting was going to involve the third accused person, he wouldn't have honored that invitation. But he's smart enough. He said no such thing. Whatever the NDC is purporting to have is a recording of the meeting in the Supreme Court judge's house or residence. And they are going to curtail parts of the recording to create the impression that it was a phone conversation. We are placing on record, and viewers should take note that whatever the NDC claimed to have, if anything, is the recording that took place in the home of the Supreme Court judge. It's a grand scheme. They want to try the case in the court of public opinion. They can see the end from the beginning. You filed a petition of no case in court, and the court ruled that you have questions to answer. And the moment that happened, they knew the end from the start. So yes, how do we get off the hook? How do we create the impression, just in case they don't get a favorable judgment? Is to tell the court that indeed, as they said in their interview after the court proceedings, that the persons are being persecuted instead of being prosecuted. So the agenda is clear. We all know the integrity and the hard work of the Attorney General, what he's done, and the millions of cedis he saved the country through his hard work. We all know his legal prowess as an Attorney General. In case, if there is any case to answer, like Mr. Jantua said, it needs to be in court, and the court is equipped to make determination on the case. But of course, let's go to public. Let's go public with whatever we think we have. Let's smear the image of the Attorney General. And I'm not surprised, Mr. Martin Pigbu, from what Mr. Jantua said, is also making some allegations. It's a grand scheme. Clearly, it's on record, first, once again, that the third accused, through his lawyers, had sought for a plea bargain, and we all can deduce what that means. Once again, there have been several attempts at getting the Attorney General directly and indirectly to drop the case. Thirdly, there was a meeting in the residence of a renowned Supreme Court judge upon invitation extended to the Attorney General to come to the residence of the judge. And during that said meeting, after the Attorney General honored such invitation, from nowhere, the third accused showed up, and he was introduced to the Attorney General as a relative of the judge, and the plea bargain issue came up. The Attorney General did not commit any offense.
Right.
He did not commit himself in any way. So whatever is being purported to have happened, whatever is in the public domain for the people of Ghana to march on this morning and beyond, is a grand scheme to smear their image. It's a grand scheme for people to escape justice, because indeed they can see the end from the start. They know where the case is going. Of course, they are smart enough, and they have lawyers to tell them that looking at the merit of the case, you can tell the end from the beginning. So let's put in every measure to make sure that we get the Attorney General out. Because with him, and after failing to budge to all the attempts at getting him to drop the case, he's firm in his mind, he's firm on the grounds, he's on top of issues to prosecute the case to its final determination. And no attempt at smearing his image, no attempt at trying to confuse the situation or whatever will not work.
All right. Prof, let me come to you now.
It's more like a rabbit hole, isn't it? That the Attorney General, and for that matter, the MPP is digging into. But, if you followed me, I've had issues where I've critiqued the public stance of the current Attorney General and Minister of Justice as him very partisan in his capacity as Attorney General, because you are the people's lawyer, you are the government's lawyer. And, he's made certain utterances at bar conferences that are unbefitting of an Attorney General and sounds a bit very pedestrian, in the sense that you don't attack a former president, right? And made it look like you are on a partisan campaign platform when you are meant to be an Attorney General. So a lead up to all of this coming up is a reflection of a certain posturing this current Attorney General has taken since being rewarded with the role of Attorney General. So you can take a historical context or run a content analysis of his utterances ever since he became Attorney General, right? So this is problematic. And a reflection of these acts and utterances is what is culminating in the court case, right? In any case, any Attorney General worth his salt, right, would do due diligence before turning up to any invitation at the behest of a Supreme Court judge or whatsoever. It doesn't make sense. It's like a cock and bull story that an Attorney General turns up at the home, a private home of a sitting Supreme Court judge. Then a third accused in a case he's handling pops up from nowhere, asking for a plea bargain. Come on, are we kids? Just look at the connections of these stories and the sort of cock and bull story we are throwing out there. digging a whole rabbit hole for an attorney general. Look, this story in and of itself has discredited and marred the office of the attorney general, not as an individual, but the office in and of itself. And I've always said that if young men, such as the attorney general, per his age, I think he's probably the youngest that's occupied that position, ought to do things worthy of emulation, such that other younger people will have the confidence to ascend into such high offices in the duty and service to Mother Ghana. But if we start seeing all of these shenanigans, right, utterances being made, you look at cases of SAL and all of these issues, and even the transmission of the bill that went to the president and all of these issues that emanated from the Speaker's office, they terminated it from coming. All utterances made from the Attorney General's office, you would realize that he is very partisan. So if we're having this play out in court, it is worrying. He doesn't need anyone to even tell him to step aside. Because if this is serious allegations, right, and if your credibility and ethics antenna are too high, you would step aside and say, look, this accusation is high. There ought to be some investigations into it. And if it's done appropriately and I'm exonerated, I'll take back my role.
But the mere mention,
Right.
or the
It's not mere
that's a
mention.
mere
Yeah.
accusation, because
Yeah.
at this point in time, that is what it is.
Yeah.
It's just an accusation
Yes.
which came
But
from
Interesting.
an accused person
Yes.
in a particular case
Yeah.
in court
Yes.
while he was being cross-examined.
Yes.
Then he flared up, of
Yes.
course, and the court records are public record,
Public
right?
records, yeah.
So that is where it's emanated from.
Yes.
Now, the person who has made the accusation and the political party which has buttressed the accusation, so
Yeah.
to speak, has not put out any evidence. It remains an allegation.
You would see the preemptive
So,
fight
yes. So
of the MPP
so-
already
yeah,
by
but
saying
but it
discredit
remains-
any recordings when no one is talking about
Yeah,
it.
so at this point
Yeah.
in time, when no recording has even been played, I mean,
Played.
how is
But
the Attorney General
what I'm
stepping
saying
aside?
is- no.
Because it's like someone accusing you of
Well,
stealing something
yeah.
without any
No, I'm
evidence. The
coming to
person
all of
hasn't
this.
adduced any
what I'm
evidence,
coming
and they are
to-
saying you should
What
step
I'm coming
aside.
to is the stories now emanating surrounding the circumstances under which whatever was done, right, and the preemptive defenses that are coming off that are unknown to the judge, and the third accused person, some recordings were made. This is serious.
Well, so it makes it look as though the
It is-
judge arranged the meeting.
Arranged the meeting and some
before the two
recordings
of
were
them.
made. And look at the preemptive defense of the MPP that these recordings will be serialized as a phone call. Listen to this. So this is a premonition of a defense. And like Jantra will tell you, it's quite interesting from an investigative perspective, tying all of this together. For me, I mean, the accusation, you could see that I wasn't even going into the accusation, right? But it is a preemptive defense of the MPP in and of itself that is giving me cause for concern. Why do you say he visits a sitting Supreme Court judge, unknown to him? Why didn't he walk away when he realized that the third accused was there? And he sat through to be recorded.
He didn't know he was being recorded.
No, but you should have walked away. Granted, we are being fair to him. Granted that he didn't know the third accused was in the home of the sitting Supreme Court judge. You walk in and he pops up. What would you do? Because you are leading the case. You walk away. You'd said, with due respect, judge, I can't sit in this meeting. I would have to walk away. But you sat through it, got recorded, and now the party is coming out to say that, granted that that was even the case, we are still speculating because that's the defense, the preemptive defense they are putting out. And now they are already telling the Ghanaian public in an insulting manner, insulting our intelligence, that if you hear any recordings, that anything that is played out is not a phone conversation, but it is a recording in a Supreme Court judge's home that involves the third accused, a sitting Attorney General and Minister of Justice, and a sitting Supreme Court judge. This are serious allegations and serious, interesting facts that is being revealed out of this case. They're very damning for just not the office of the Attorney General, but the bench, the apex bench as well, if a Supreme Court judge happens to be involved in this. In any case, the story about the third accused asking for plea bargain, what has that got to do with anything? For all you know, he's coerced to do it as part of the grand scheme to make this case a political case. So it is a call in the right direction for anyone to say, looking at the gravity and enormity of evidence that is coming out, which is very damning.
Evidence. You
Yeah,
talk about
evidence. What are you doing in the Supreme Court?
all that has even that.
No,
even
what is the sitting attorney general
You see, even
doing in the Supreme
that,
Court?
Prof,
Yeah.
even that, Prof, all seems to be conjecture. So it's like all the things we're hearing,
Yeah.
from this quarters, from that quarters, it's all like, speculation and conjecture.
Lantam.
And even this so-called meeting, and I'll use so-called meeting because nobody
So are you
has
saying
really
the
been
meeting
able...
never happened?
I don't know if it happened. That is what people are saying. That's what the
is their
MPP is
defense.
saying. That is what...
It's not a defense.
It's a
some
defense.
other
It
people
didn't
are
happen.
saying...
It's not a defense.
No, it didn't happen.
It's
But,
not a
but-
defense.
but
It
even
didn't
with
happen.
that,
It's not
even
a
with
defense
that,
because
even
there's no
that,
case.
even
There's
with
no
that,
case in the
it's
first
just been
place.
said. It's
I'm
just
telling
been
you what has
said.
transpired.
No,
It's
but
not
did
a
the meeting
defense.
happen?
It's not a defense.
Hold on, Prof. In all of this, it's just been said that there was a certain meeting. And in that meeting, there was a Supreme Court judge. Richard Jackpot was there. The Attorney General was there. A recording was made. All of this is just, to me, conjecture. Nobody has still been able to prove that this actually happened.
So there was no meeting.
I don't know. I don't know.
If you have any evidence, we are waiting for the evidence today.
Ask him if
But
there
of
was a
course,
meeting.
clearly-
Ask him if there was a meeting.
I mean, you said there was a
there
meeting.
was a
Yes,
meeting.
I've said that.
Yeah, you've
there was
said there was a
and we are
meeting.
waiting for the so-called evidence they say they have. Like I said, and clearly listening to the NDC rep on the show. Started by what? Trying to smear the image of the Attorney General.
Who is smelling an image? Is
That's
the
what
evidence point to it?
He's poking at bar conferences and he's attacking former president. What he
Is there
failed,
no
what
evidence
he
to that?
failed,
Who is speaking now,
what he failed to tell the general public is the various attempts at bastardizing the judiciary by the former president ever since he lost
Oh, like Gabi has been doing.
2016.
Like Gabi has been doing.
Ever since, so you are not even denying it. You
No,
are
I'm not
saying
denying. I
he did
said
it,
like
but
Gabi has
Gabi also
been
did
doing-
same. So you are also saying that
No,
you are not
okay,
even
so
denying it.
give a classic
So he
example
did
of
it.
when President
he did
Mahama has
it. He
done
did it on
No.
various platforms.
Example.
Unanimous FC to MPP.
Example. Give an
He's
example.
called a unanimous FC. Haven't you heard it? A former president supposed to be a statesman calling the bench a unanimous FC.
Oh, and that's derogatory.
You don't believe so?
That's derogatory.
You don't believe so?
That's
So you are
derogatory.
telling us today that yet he's done it, and
No,
Gabi has also
that is-
done
that
it.
is derogatory.
That's basically what you are saying.
That is derogatory.
That he's done it on and we've heard him on
No,
a lot
that
of
is
occasions.
derogatory.
MPPs packing the bench
But
with,
are they not packing the
party
bench?
apparatchiks.
No, are they not packing the
Which
bench?
of the Supreme Court judges has a party card? And this is coming from a former president.
Oh,
And you are not
has
here denying
former
it.
regional chairman
You are not
and constituency
here.
chairman
You are
not been
not
called
here.
to the bench?
You are here not
No,
denying
as-
it.
as
You are rather
former-
telling the public
No,
that
I don't see
indeed
it as an insult. Unanimous FC, what is it
Gabi
about it?
supposedly is doing same. That's what
Right.
you are telling the whole public. That President Mohammed did it, and Gabi is doing same. Equalization. You are not even denying
Nobody's
it.
equalizing
So
anything.
clearly, from
What
your
I am
submission,
telling you
from
is
his
that-
submission, you can clearly tell what I told you earlier.
Yeah.
That grand scheme to smear the image of the Attorney General. Indeed, if you know you have a case, if indeed you know you have a
No,
case,
unanimous FC was
if you
an
know
insult.
you have a case, you will not go through the tangentialities. If you knew you had a case,
I didn't know unanimous FC was an insult.
you will not see it as an
You know,
insult.
in all of this,
for
hold on.
a former president to describe the bench as a unanimous
In all of this, it will be very. In all of this, hold on, Doc.
Clearly, it's for you and the public.
Hold on, Doc. In all of this, it will be very
The public is
interesting.
seeing how the bench is being packed by even party
Oh, so
executives.
you are echoing what Mr. Mohammed is saying.
Oh, but do you not pack the bench? It's
With-
obvious.
with
It's pretty much
with
obvious.
party
I
functionaries.
support President
with
Mahama.
party functionaries.
Oh, why?
So if the former president goes on this tangent and you are repeating it, and
There's
the Attorney
nothing wrong
General
with that.
mounts,
The bench
and the
is
Attorney
being
General
packed.
mounts a platform
The
to
bench
tell the
is
former
being
president
packed.
and yourself to know better,
The
you are
bench
saying
is
what the
being
former
packed.
president is,
If
the
that
Attorney
is
General
what-
is insulting.
If that is what you say is an attack on the
is
bench,
insulting who?
I back President
Various
Mahama any day in
attempts
saying
everywhere,
this.
locally and internationally,
Yeah.
that the former president gets the opportunity. Any time
Which
he
international
gets,
platform?
anytime he gets,
Which international platform?
bastardizing
No,
the
which
judiciary,
international
which you are
platform?
aware,
Which-
and you've not denied.
Lantam,
You are only
Lantam,
telling
he
the
has
public.
to collaborate.
You are
Which
only
international
telling-
platform
you are
President
only telling
Mahama
the public,
has attacked
you
the
are only
judiciary?
telling the public
He's
that
got to collaborate
he's done
or
it,
withdraw
and
it.
Gabi has also done it. That's what I telling the
No,
public.
Lantam.
And you are here saying
He's
that
got to
you support
collaborate
with your full chest
which
whatever
international
he has
platform
said,
All right,
whatever
President
he has
Mahama
said,
all right,
has
ceasefire.
attacked the
whatever
bench.
allegation
All right, ceasefire.
and attempt at
All right,
bastardizing the judiciary
ceasefire.
from the
All right,
former
so I mean,
president.
so
you are here
give us
corroborating
hold
it and
on.
telling the
Let
public
me
that
come to you
you
one by
support
one,
with your full
Doc.
chest.
Let me come to you one by one.
Yeah.
So you said the president has been
International
former president,
platforms.
has said unanimous FC and all of that, and can you help us, recount some of the specific platforms that the president has bastardized the judiciary. The
he
former
said
president.
international.
Hold on.
He went out in the United States and met NDC functionaries. I've quite forgotten the dates, but he went outside to
Right.
meet NDC functionaries.
Yes.
And he told them the court is packed
Yes.
with MPP functionaries. When he met the NDC lawyers in Ghana, what did he say?
And that's an international platform.
I'll give you an example of international platform. He met
And what
NDC
words did he use at the
functionaries
international
and
platform?
told the NDC gathering that the court is packed with MPP functionaries.
And that was the insult.
And he came
That
back
was the
home.
attack.
If
That
you-
was the attack.
Yeah, I'm saying that.
Hold on,
He,
Prof. I'll come
on
to you.
various occasions, attempted running down the bench. And you are here telling us that Gabi has also done same. You are not denying what I've said. And you are saying once again that you support everything he has said. Meaning you accept everything he has said, you corroborate everything
Well,
I'm saying,
if
and you are
packing the
giving your
bench-
support to it. And I'm saying that indeed, your plan is very obvious. From your head to the least person in the party. And you are not making any legal argument. You are going to the public, you are going to the market to sell your case to the public. If indeed you have anything, if indeed you believe in the innocence of whoever has been accused in the case, you do it in court. But clearly we have seen. And in speaking to the issue, you are saying he's spoken supposedly against the former president. So the Attorney General is what? He's spoken, he's asked the former president to respect the judiciary. He's asked the former president not to smear the judiciary. And you are saying because he made that pronouncement and made a call. He's the head of the bar, for Christ's sake. He's the head of the bar, the head of all lawyers in the country. And he, as the head of all lawyers in the country, if someone is seeking to undermine the judiciary and he's calling the person to order, you are here telling us what?
Okay.
He's attempted at speaking a certain way to the former president. For that reason, he needs to resign. How
All
can
right.
you say that? You're
All
a
right, very
professor,
well.
you are a lecturer.
Let me come back to
The moment
Prof.
a student makes a word allegation against you, you are telling me you will tender your resignation. The moment a student comes out
Okay.
as a lecturer,
I think you've made
my
a point.
lecturer
Prof,
marked
let me
down
come
my
to you now.
script.
Let
The
me come back
moment
to you now.
The student
Doc,
makes such
I've
claim,
given you ample time.
he's telling us you
to do
resign.
whatever
Come on,
rebuttals
clearly.
that you've done. So
Clearly.
let me let him finish his
Clearly.
submission.
There's no
So Prof,
As an
yes.
academic,
Yes.
if I'm found in certain circumstances in compromising roles with a student,
He's not in any compromising role.
right? In compromising
No, please.
roles, I have, when you were speaking, I was on it. If,
No,
if
please.
you have a key,
I gave
have
you
your
ample
day,
time to make
right?
whatever intervention you
Yeah,
wanted to make. So allow
if
him.
I'm found,
Allow him.
If a student is found in my office under very bizarre circumstances and I couldn't ask the student to leave my office, right? And the script of the student reflects otherwise, right? And a case is being made, I will step aside for an investigation. Honorably
He's not
to be
stepping
done,
aside. Sorry to
right?
disappoint you.
For that to happen, nobody is asking him. It's up to him. He can't be Attorney General for life,
Obviously.
right? So when we are saying that the bench has been packed by cronies of the MPP or packed by the MPP, it's obvious. It is not
How?
an insult.
How?
Oh, but
How?
let's ask off air. Was a party chairman not called to the bench? We all know names. You see, don't push people.
mention the names.
No, don't push people to get personal at certain people. We all know
Lantam,
what is
adduce
happening
evidence.
in the court
Mention
of
names.
public opinion.
Mention names.
All right. So how is that an attack on the bench?
Mention names.
How is that an attack? People had to even pull down their Facebook post. Individuals who were appointed to some apex courts or to
Mention
pull
names.
down their
Lantam, evidence.
Facebook post.
Evidence.
Right? Had to deactivate their Facebook accounts. If they think they are that noble enough to occupy those positions, why are they living or hiding their footprint?
Lantam, he's not giving any
Very well.
evidence.
Right?
Well,
But Lantam, no,
yes.
let me come
So
in.
finish.
giving
Yeah, so
any
finish.
evidence,
So
Lantam.
finish your point.
When you
Yes.
say unanimous FC, or if President Mahama has indeed said unanimous FC, how is that an insult? In the Brexit case in the UK, when it was passed, people came out to say, look, judges were enemies or deemed as enemies of the people. This was seen as an intellectual issue to be engaged with, other than to be seen as an attack on a set bench.
So it's intellectual.
So if they say-
intellectual to say the
Doc,
bench
Doc,
is
please,
not
Doc, please, allow him to make his point.
But
yes.
has events not happened with the bench that occasion everyone to have cause for worry,
It's not everyone. It's you.
right? Or majority of Ghanaians to
There's
have.
no
And if we
majority.
do,
There's no majority.
can we not express our
There's
views?
no majority.
How does
There's
that
no evidence
reflect
to that.
an
It's
attack
the
on the
NDC.
bench?
There's no majority.
Goodness. Why are you aggressive?
I'm very
This-
calm. I'm just correcting you.
Why are you aggressive? I wasn't interjecting.
I'm correcting you.
All right, please.
So
let's
finish.
respect our
So, Prof,
viewers.
finish your point for me in
Yeah,
1
so
minute.
what I'm-
Let me
yeah,
come back to Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that
Yes.
it's all clear what the grand scheme is. And if an attorney general who is shrewd at what he is doing walks into a Supreme Court judge's home upon the invitation or the behest of such a Supreme Court judge, you went to meet a party of a case that you are actively involved with, and you can't excuse yourself from that home to sit through to be recorded, then you are already preempting defenses to come out to say they are going to serialize this recording. It's a big shame and a big disgrace to the office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice.
Mr. Johnson, I mean, you've been quiet in all of this banter. What would you? I'll come to you for a last word on this matter before we move on.
Look, the kind of system we have in our constitution is not endangering I'm not pronouncing the word properly. Engendering judges to be, or for people to see judges in a certain light. I don't think it's up to the president to choose judges. In this Fourth Republic, both MPP and NDC have put their own people there. However, a judge's responsibility is to show discretion. A judge's responsibility is to use the law and be fair with the cases that come, in front of them. And so the MPP can't blame the NDC can't blame the MPP because they've both done it. But I think there should be a different body. And remember, we practice a governance of separation of powers. The moment you get the executive choosing the heads of another part of governance, there would be a problem. And it is showing out this morning. It is something we need to look at. Number two, the Attorney General, is he a politician?
I want to believe he is.
He's a politician. Is his position a political position?
No.
It's not supposed to be a political position. Where does the politics come in? The politics comes in because of the bit where he is the Minister of Justice as a politician. And that is something we should look at. And some of us have said, let's have the two. Let's have a Minister for Justice and let's have an Attorney General whose responsibility is in the Constitution. He is the only individual who has his responsibility in the Constitution. And he's a government's lawyer. And we don't expect an Attorney General who's a government's lawyer to be a politician. And that tends to sometimes give the Attorney General, he feels it is a right to talk about political issues. He's the Minister of Justice, a political position given to him by the President. Not so. Mm-hmm. The Attorney General's position is in the Constitution.
It is.
And there has to be an Attorney General. Mm-hmm. And the President chooses who he wants to be an Attorney General. So it is something we need to look at. Otherwise, this banter will go on. And I don't understand why we don't want to look at the gaps in the lacunas and gaps in the Constitution to straighten it. Otherwise, these things will always go on. As to the commentary, this one said A, this one said B. Both presidents have done it. When they're in opposition, they castigate the other. And so, if you're doing equalization, they are all guilty. They are all guilty. Let us try as much as possible to be fair with the commentaries that we make. Because in this Fourth Republic, if you look at our presidents who have come in, some even have gone to the extent of insulting others. Some have gone to the extent of being despotic. Some have gone to the extent of saying things that are untoward. Some have gone to the extent of taking the office of president, putting it into disrepute. Some of them have done it. Let me give you an example. If the president comes to tell you, and the current president has done it, he comes to tell you that from this point on, there's not going to be Dumso anymore, and there's Dumso. Has he spoken the truth? Has he been economical with the truth? Has he, his office, Has he put his office into disrepute because he said what he said and it isn't true? Has he? And so, when we make these arguments, I would like a situation where, okay, the CPP hasn't been in power for a long time, but these two have been in power. I like a situation where, when wrong is wrong, both can say it is wrong. When right is right, both can say it is right. And not knock each other's heads together.
Right.
And for the general public to look and say, look at what they are doing. It doesn't bode well for any of us.
All right. And speaking of what is wrong and what is right, we're moving into our next issue, which has got to do with the construction of the Pwalugu multi-purpose dam. Supposed to provide irrigation, supposed to provide hydropower, among other things. And the dam was supposed to be constructed. Sod was cut, I think somewhere in 2019, sod was cut for the Pwalugu dam to be constructed. So apparently monies have already been pumped into the construction of the Pwalugu dam, and there is absolutely nothing on the site. The minority did a check very recently. Some journalists have been there and have also checked to corroborate the minority story. And indeed, there's absolutely nothing that has been done on the site of the Pwalugu dam. Yet, the very last payment that was made was deemed to be a final payment of close to $12 million to a contractor. And there is no Pwalugu dam, but final payment has been made. So the minority are saying they may want to constitute a parliamentary probe into this, call the contractors, because auditors were also asked about this, and the auditors said they've just made the payment. Apparently, they didn't even verify whether or not the payments they were making, the work was actually being done. So it seemed like a very big mess. And the vice president has, on his recent campaign tours, promised that the Pwalugu dam will be constructed, and it is an important project. So if money has been paid for the Pwalugu dam, where is the dam? If the dam is not there, where is the money? Prof, on this one, I'll begin with you.
Well, I mean, this is looking at the litany of scandals from the PDS to the SMLs and what have you. It is no surprise that you're having such an issue with the Pwalugu dam. But what is quite worrying is that day in, day out, we do have Auditor General's report coming up with projects that are purporting to have been executed and contractors being paid, yet they are non-existent. And I think that having moved from probably 2016 to 2024, which has been a span of about 8 years now, we ought to have been improving in our public accountability sphere, transparency, our public ethics and the likes of that, but that seemed not to be improving, rather deteriorating by the day, which then leave one with the wonder of questions to ask as to whether we are making any progress actually, and whether the change of government has actually been reflective of the needed aspirations of the good people of Ghana. We're talking about a colossal figure here. It is just not like 12 million Ghana cedis whatsoever. It is $12 million. And how could that, by any stretch of imagination, happen under a democratic jurisdiction where a contractor is being paid such an amount and there's no existence of such a project? And we all know what dams can do, right? We talk about issues of inflation, among other issues that are happening. But you know that farming plays an integral role to all of these things. And this dam in particular was meant to actually aid or augment farming activities. So you could imagine if its completion was done and done adequately well, what it would have done to actually further the improvement of the people of the north, just not Pwalugu, but within that enclave in terms of irrigation, farming, development, and the likes of that. So if that hasn't happened and it has been paid to a contractor, that's quite a big indictment on assassination, and some investigations ought to be made to that. So the call for the minority is a call in the right direction, and that's what minority governments do, or governments in waiting do, because they have to come up to actually call for probes to be done. In time past, we've seen a whole host of issues that has happened. Money is being transferred into accounts that are unaccounted for, taxes not being paid right, among other things. So yes, a bipartisan position, and I think if you look at the position of the minority, they are calling it from a parliamentary perspective. So that's not even a partisan one. So this is them activating their rights as minority and their position as minority in parliament to say that a needed investigation ought to go into this.
I've also heard the one of the members of the majority side, I think Honorable Atachia, also say that it's important,
Yes.
that they get to the contractor and find out exactly what is happening. So
Because
he also agrees.
Yes, it doesn't look
I think
good.
he's a member of the committee. I think chairman,
chairman
of the Mines and Energy Committee.
Yes.
So he agrees that
it doesn't look
there
good.
should be a
it doesn't look good at all. And also in an era where we have most of our water bodies being destroyed by galamsey, among other issues, if we have the construction of a dam, which is an essential public interest project, go south in such a manner, then I think that a lot more needs to be done. So it's quite interesting. I don't know if that has come to the radar of the president, because these days he's quite swift in action and certain issues and quite slow in. So if it has, I think he himself or we ought to be hearing something from the presidency, because this is just not a cheap project. It is in millions of dollars, right? And that reflects the future of just not the people of Pwalugu, but as I said, more from the northern enclave. And for that matter, it's an economic tool that is meant to actually bridge the gap of poverty and actually enhance the people's well-being. So if this is happening, I think that we just not only ought to be hearing from Parliament, we ought to be hearing from the presidency itself as well.
But Mr. Johnson, do you agree we ought to be hearing something from the presidency because this is a project that was commissioned? I mean, when it was commissioned, the current vice president was there. They were excited about, the project all those years ago. And for close to 4 years on, there is no work done. And the vice president is still talking about how important such a project will be or is for Ghana.
The Pwalugu project was started in 2019. It's supposed to start in 2019.
Yes.
It's a three-tier project. Energy being 1, agriculture being 2, and the provision of water being 3. But most importantly, the Pwalugu Dam was supposed to capture the spill from Burkina Faso into Ghana.
Yeah.
So it would capture that, and that water would help. And most importantly, it was done because of electricity. Because the government realized that having power, hydropower there, would help with electricity and even help with the export of electricity. So what happened? The first thing I will say is, GHOne, unfortunately, GHOne, look, the project was estimated at $993 million. At the time, government was looking for money. And government was looking for a BOT, an EPCF BOT project, where anybody who was able to bring the money, they would run it for a while, make their money, and then give it back to government. Just like is it Car Power? Which of the... Ameri. Just like the Ameri project. So, some of us didn't even know that this particular project, money had been paid. And remember, it says final payment. That means there have been other payments to this final payment. So, the amount of money we're talking about could be more than $12 million. At the time, and this is land where the president cut the sword in 2019. At the time, it had timber on there, it had iron rods on there, it had the materials to start the project. Today, nothing is found on there. Where did those materials go to? Who took those materials? Now, you look at those who are to be questioned. This particular project was under the vice president's office. He has to be questioned. At the time, who was Minister of Finance? Oforiatta. He has to be questioned. How come? Auditor General has to be questioned. Most importantly, the Bank of Ghana has to be questioned. Because what are they saying? The Bank of Ghana is saying that, and I read from my GHOne line. It says, earlier this month, the Bank of Ghana addressed questions about the 12 million payment made to MS Power China International Group. That was the company that was supposed to build. It says, some lawmakers had raised concerns that the money was released despite a lack of visible progress on the project. The bank clarified that it acted as a custodian of government accounts and followed proper procedure by releasing the funds after receiving government authorization. They emphasized that verifying project progress after payments are made falls outside their area of responsibility. They can't question when government says pay X amount of money. They can't question and find out where this money is going, whether the project that this money is supposed to be paid for has been done. Is that what they are telling us? Now, why is Parliament, from what the head of the Mines and Energy Committee, Atachian, why have they decided to start whatever investigation they are going to start with the contractor? Because according to them, they want to call the contractor in. Why don't they start with the people who paid the money? Why don't they look into that before they go to the contractor? Why are they starting from the back to the front?
Well, the contractor is supposed to do the work.
But who paid?
So if you've been paid,
If the contractor is going
and
to
the
be,
work has not been done, then steps need to be taken to recover the
before
money.
a contractor is paid, he brings his certificate
Yes.
to show that I've done E, X, Y, Z. Shouldn't that be the first point of call to ask the Minister of Finance, where is the certificate of the contractor? Certify that first. Once you certify that, then you go to the contractor and ask him, you brought this certificate to be paid. Where's the job that that was done? Look, I hope this thing is not going to be political. If there's consensus with the minority and the majority on the committee to do this together, please put the politics out. $12 million can do a lot. Our brothers and sisters who are on dialysis,
Yeah.
we can't even buy 20,000 machine for them to live, and they are dying. And we can pay $20 million to $12 million.
That's in excess of 100 million
There is
cedis.
about 200 million cedis to a Chinese contractor who isn't Ghanaian, and nothing is said. The president should be questioned.
The
He
consultant.
cut the sword. He should be interested in this, not unless he knows something about it, and that he won't talk. You know, one thing I find about the president, he takes too long in coming out with some of these things. He's shown us that, of late, he can do reshuffle. After how many years? He's shown us. In his last days, he can do reshuffle. He should show us that this particular issue, if all the others, the SML deal, the cathedral deal, all these monies that we haven't seen where it is gone to, this one, we beg, Mr. President, let's see your action today.
But he took action on the SML deal.
I said, he took action on the SML deal. Yeah. You've read the SML deal. There were things in there.
He commissioned KPMG.
There were things in there which he didn't tell
He finally released the report.
I said, wasn't under pressure. Wasn't under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying this one, don't wait for pressure. Where we sit today, look, can you imagine the IMF sitting down and watching us and saying to themselves, what is wrong with Ghana? How can you pay $12 million to a contractor and no work is done? And then you come back to us to ask us for money. Won't they question? Won't even our own African brothers ask themselves, what is wrong with this country? That you can pay $12 million and nothing is there for a project that would help the people of that area? Talency, isn't it? Huh? The area. Yeah. Talency.
Yeah.
It would help the north. Please, I beg you, and I'll end here. Don't let us play politics with this. That 12 million cedis is you and I, taxpayers' money.
Dollars.
Well, $12 million, sorry. $12 million is the taxpayers'
Almost
money.
$12 million if
almost
we are
12,
being fair.
It's 11.9.
Yes.
So we approximate it as we approximate things. We said it's 1 billion, it's 993, but it says about 1 billion. If you take exchange rate and all that, where the CD and dollar is now, it will get to $12 million. Please, I beg. Doc, Prof, don't let us play politics with this. Don't let us play politics because it is serious that you pay $12 million. No work, see.
Doc, let me now come to you on this very important issue.
I'm happy at least the conversation is not about how to find some missing or confirm when we are mentioning our brothers and sisters in the north. We are not talking about our confirm, but rather we are talking about the Pwalugu Dam, who has been in our books for decades. And this administration, the president, having the commitment to at least start something on the project. We support every call for accountability. We support every call for openness. But of course, we all know how projects are done. Projects don't start in vacuum, in quote. The access route to the place has been repaired through Kurugu. We need to do geographical survey on the land. We need to do topological investigations on the land. The dam would be situated among 8 districts up there. It will involve over 2,400 households. The people involved that will be displaced, in quotes, will be over 15,000. How do we start such project? If it were to be my village and the place is demarcated, it's just forest. Go and cut down the trees and start. Have we thought of the preliminary things that need to be done? I'm not holding brief for anyone, but how would you get those preliminary things done? Geological survey, topological investigations, the licensing, land valuation, earth science work.
But are they not pre-contractual issues you're mentioning?
And I mean,
they are not contractual,
relocating
they are
the people.
pre-contractual. Let's not
Over
miseducate the public.
24,000 hectares of land we are going to use for such projects.
But is a contractor going to do all that?
It's part of the project, and they are all preliminary payments that were made.
So where's the materials that was left on there?
And Mr. Jantua has even said that there were even some materials there.
Yeah, there were materials there.
Exactly.
There were
So
sheds
how
there.
were those materials procured?
And now they are not
if not
there.
money,
Now they are
exactly.
not there.
So the investigation would
And there's
also
nothing
throw
on the site.
the investigation would throw light
Extend
on
into farmland.
how did we get those materials from the start and we didn't have them now. I don't think those materials were given for free. They're not freebies. But of course, aside all the preliminary investigations and all the things that need to be done preliminarily, and like we said, the materials we saw on site, I don't think those things were freebies. But of course, if Parliament so wishes to investigate and to find out what indeed those monies were used for, clearly no one stops Parliament or can stop Parliament from doing what it's supposed to do in the interest of the Ghanaian people. But I'm happy there's a commitment on the side of government after how many decades of Pwalugu Dam being in our books that finally the government was committed to constructing the dam. The irrigation benefit, the fish farming benefit, the perennial floods we've been seeing up there from the Bagri Dam, that finally we will put a stop to, the employment opportunity, the business opportunities that will be created. It was supposed to be the biggest single investment ever, at least with our government. I don't know if there's any other project like that. So I'm happy with the commitment. And that's why I opened my submission to say that I'm happy we're not discussing a confirm. That we couldn't trace even a single soul of a confirm. But we are discussing Pwalugu Dam,
which is non-existent,
which has not been constructed yet.
but monies have been paid.
Preliminary payments made.
Final payments, according to
final
the
payment
documents
is
that we
close
saw.
to $1 billion for the project. Final payment is close
So
to
the
$1 billion.
final 11.9
So-
million was paid to
So
the
if
contractor,
preliminary
and there's no
payments,
evidence
if preliminary payments,
of work done.
if preliminary payments have been paid, we want to know what those monies were used for. We are right to ask every question. Parliament is right to ask every question, but the argument has been lifted. And we are looking at the benefit, the individual, national, and sector benefit that the dam and the irrigation purpose would accrue for the people up there. We just recently launched the Kayaye Empowerment Project. Imagine if the dam was made. Direct and indirect jobs, job opportunities.
So isn't that all of this
So
what
I'm
makes
saying
it
that
scandalous?
I'm happy. It's scandalous.
It's scandalous.
It's scandalous to
for
say
monies
we are
to
going
be paid.
But I've mentioned
And there
works
is
that have
absolutely
been done.
nothing
I've
on the
mentioned
site.
works that have been done.
There is zero.
We are talking about
Nothing
close
on
to
the
$1
site.
billion facility, and 12 million paid, and we've spoken about
12
the
million is not
preliminary.
the only payment that has been made. Payments have been made
which
previously.
other payments?
Other payments have been
Which
made
other
previously.
payments aside the close to 12 million? We won't know. If there are any other payments aside the close
That's what
to
we've
12
been
million,
told by those
by
who
who?
are calling for a probe into
That
it.
there are more payments.
That other payments
They
have
are
been made
conjecturing-
previously.
They are conjecturing that there are more payments. What I've seen, what I've read, what I've heard, it close to 12 million. It's no chicken chain though. But of course.
So it's justifiable for that money to be paid,
I'm saying it's
and
not
there's
that.
no
I'm
work
saying that we
done.
need to go and ask questions. From where I sit, I know preliminary works had already started. The access route to the place, for example, was repaired. And Mr. Janto has even told us that, and we all know that there were some materials on site which we can't find anymore. So let's go and ask, where are those materials? And those materials, everything that had been done, were not done for free. So I believe those initial payments were for those preliminary things that needed to be done. But if we need to still ask further questions, we are right to ask further questions.
Okay.
And once again, we've elevated the argument. We're not discussing and confirming when we mention the north. We are mentioning dam, an irrigation purpose dam, which will have overwhelming benefit to the people up there to help curb the migration from north to south. The Kayaye we are seeing today, if indeed the dam is active, I believe will provide some job opportunities for those people.
Lantam,
Dr.
let me ask you a
Baumia
question. Let me
will
ask you a
not
question.
have to channel part of our
All
money
right.
to build Kayaye hostels across the country.
Very
and
well.
I'm happy.
Very
Dr.
well.
Baumia, when he went there, is still committed to the project.
So you should be interested
And
in what
we
is
are all
happening.
interested in it.
Okay,
Lantam,
very well.
let me ask
We
you
are
We
all
have to wrap up
interested in
now.
it.
now.
We have
Dr.
to.
Baumia, like, as
We have to
said,
wrap up now.
will, under his presidency, make sure the dam is constructed. I'm
Okay,
happy
very well
we
said.
are not talking about a confirmation.
Very well said. You've made that point. Very well said.
It looks like-
Thank you
Let me
very much.
ask- let me ask
we have
Doc.
to wrap
Let-
up
let me
now.
ask Doc.
We're out of time.
Let me ask Doc. Let me ask Doc. Let me ask Doc. If the shoe were on the other foot, how would he see it? If it so happened that the NDC were in power
Yes.
and this thing had come to their attention, how will they see it?
Exactly. I will be happy because, yes, they realize that a confirm is not what
We have to wrap up. We have to wrap up.
It's good.
We have to wrap up. Thank you. Thank you very much. Professor, Prof. Sharif Khalid is a member of the NDC's communications team. Dr. Daniel, Dr. Ezekiel Ajekum Obing. Ezekiel Ajekum Obing is a member of the MPP's communications team. And Mr. Kwame Jantwa, obviously, is a member of the CPP. Stay tuned. This is...
Welcome back to the show. It's World Menstrual Hygiene Day. And so today it's a packed day, packed show, full of conversations on menstrual hygiene. We're looking at all the ways we can break the silence around menstrual hygiene and, of course, take away the stigmas associated with menstrual hygiene, even in the traditional setting. My guest this morning, I have GHOne Durena. He's Executive Director, Ghana National Association for the Deaf. Christiana Yagri, she's the National Vice President, Ghana National Association for the Deaf. Here. Good morning.
Good morning.
I hope you guys are doing well. Good to see you.
Yeah, we're doing good. Good to see you too.
Now, let's understand menstruation. For a lot of people or persons living with disability, it is very difficult during this period when they have to go through their menstruation. What's your understanding of menstruation?
I think I'll let Christy takes that. So menstruation, naturally, I think is something that is part of every woman. When we are in our teenage years, we all have our periods, and this is a time where it differs us from being a girl to being a woman. Now we know that we're in the stage where we'll be able to have kids, we'll be able to we'll be called women. So there's a stage where we try to educate our young girls as to how to keep themselves clean, how they should go about their time when they have their periods.
For you, Christina, growing up as a young girl, how was menstruation like? Were you stigmatized?
Oh, yes. So when I was growing up, I think when I was 12 years old, I had my first period. I didn't know what that was. I didn't have any form of education. Even I think it happened when I was in school. So people were just, asking me to leave their presence. I had to go home, ask my mom what happened. Like, this is my first time. So my mom explained it to me that it's something natural that happens to all women. And once you get your menses, then it means that you are now a woman. You can get pregnant if you have sex and all that.
For you, GHOne, did you understand, at what point did you get the full meaning of menstruation?
Honestly, I'm a man. So even though growing up as a deaf person, I didn't have any idea what menstruation was until I finished high school. That was the first time, I think, when I went to Legon. That was where I was able to get the full meaning of what menstruation is. But it's just hearsay. It's just what I've heard women talked about. But I don't have any personal experience, so I might not be able to talk fully about that. But every week we will have most of our deaf women saying that, oh, they are not in school. Why? Because they give the excuse that I'm sick. So I realized that why is it that every time we have one deaf woman saying they are sick, they are not coming to school? Then I realized that, oh, they are not really sick, but it's because they're having their periods. And that is what they term as being sick. So from primary school to JSS, I never understood that until I started teaching in the high school. That's where I got to understand what it was.
I mean, he says, for you, Juventus, you say every time girls say they are sick, that's why they are unable to attend school. But how does this affect them, especially for girls who are living with disability?
Yes, so it's a serious issue. As I said earlier on, being a deaf person in our organization, if you check, the deaf population, that is the men and the women, their performance in school, you realize that the males do very well in school than the female. Even in the primary schools, you realize that maybe if we have 20 deaf boys, you have 20 deaf girls. Once they get to high school, only 15 of the boys will continue to high school and then to the university. But for the girls, you realize that when they get to high school, you only find 3 or 4 of them out of the 20. And when you go back, you realize that most of the girls miss class a lot. And this is because they always complain, because when they have their menses, they have to stay home, miss the whole week in school. They don't learn. They are not able to learn. It affects the education. And I'm not surprised that in Ghana here, as we speak today, last year, during the population census, if you realize that a lot of deaf men are in the tertiary institution as compared to our women. And this is something that starts from the beginning, where they have a lot of challenges when it comes to menstrual health. They are not able to take care of themselves. They don't have that support.
How do we break such barriers associated with menstrual hygiene?
Thank you for that question. I think one thing that we have seen as an organization is that a lot of women themselves, that's the deaf women themselves, they don't even understand that menstrual hygiene is a natural occurrence with women. So in 2017, we started our first research on deaf adolescents having access to menstrual hygiene. And the findings that we got was amazing. It's a good step that actually helped us. We realized that a lot of them have no idea of what menstrual hygiene is. Most of them think that is sickness. So once they have their periods, they claim that they are sick and don't come to school. And they don't even understand that it's a natural phenomenon that happens to all women. And because of that, they miss class a lot. The second point that we realize is that most of the boys in school also don't even know that they also have a responsibility in supporting the females when it comes to school. And that becomes a barrier for them. When a lady has their menses, the boys, suck them. They don't want to be in their presence. They embarrass them. And they call them names. So because of that, the girls are not able to partake in learning activities. So the first step that we took was to break that barrier, as to create a lot of education, educating the women themselves and the boys and the girls, and also to creating more awareness what menstrual health hygiene is. They have to understand that it's just a natural phenomenon. It happens to every woman. There's not anything dangerous. It's just not sickness. So once we're able to do that, it has helped them partake in class activities more now.
Christiana, how do we demystify the myths associated with menstruation, especially for girls in rural Ghana who are living with disability?
I think the only way we have to do that is to do a lot of awareness creation, educate most of our women first themselves, because if they know what they are going through, then they'll be able to deal with the situation themselves first. How to use the pads, even if they don't have the sanitary pads, can they come up with a natural remedy, like us maybe using the homemade ones that will support them? I think when we educate them first, that would also help.
But how accessible is information on menstruation, menstrual hygiene for all these girls?
So for now, for our organization, we have been able to do some advocacy. Now we are having a program today at some of the deaf schools. We are in 4 regions where we go out there, we educate the students on menstrual hygiene, what it is. We even use the opportunity to also donate some sanitary pads to the students for them to also, be able to attend class and not miss class. This is what we are doing. But we also hope that the government will come in, stakeholders will come in to provide sign language interpreters for such programs when they are educating people on menstrual hygiene. You just want to add something to it. I think that I also want to add that for access to information, honestly, it's a big challenge for deaf people. That is, not only just deaf people, but persons with disability, but deaf people have that bigger challenge. When you look at the young women, for instance, who are hearing, anytime they are home, even when they are cleaning or they are watching or whatever they are doing, they benefit because they hear everything that is going on radio, on TV, those adverts on menstrual hygiene. They hear, or some people are in church or going to school, they hear all that. A lot of people are talking about it. They benefit. How about deaf people? We're in a silent world. We don't hear anything. So then they have no idea as to even what is happening. When it comes to even their own parents, even the young girls themselves, they have to depend on their parents for the information. But this is in the case where even the parents themselves don't even know sign language. So how do you even communicate with your own child in the first place? So that's another big problem. So it means that deaf girls are facing a lot of challenges. So we just placing with CSOs. Even most of the CSOs and the NGOs, when they target young girls with menstrual hygiene and they are doing this education, they don't target deaf girls. So for our case, it's very huge. So even as we are communicating right now, the national information that goes around there on TV, the advert, there is no subtitles, there is no interpreters. So how do we even benefit from that? All we see is just pictures. Me, myself, when I'm home and I'm watching TV with my kids, I don't hear, I don't get the information that is going on. I only see people talking, but I don't know what they are talking about. So all these things, I would say that information is key. So I think government should come in. It's a big challenge for us to come in and provide subtitles and sign language interpreters.
Beyond providing subtitles and sign language interpreters, do you think the call for sanitary pads to be made free should be brought back or should be embraced?
Yes. I think that should be our national advocacy topic, because
Right.
let me give you one explanation. I think some of the deaf girls, those who are in school, most of the deaf students spend most of their lives in school, because for deaf people, when they come to school from kindergarten to high school, most of them are in the boarding house, and most of their parents are also from the villages. They are not well-to-do. So when they come in the beginning of the term, they dump their kids in the school. You don't see them again. Even sometimes when school vacates, it becomes a problem for teachers to even call their parents to come for their kids. So imagine a girl staying in school for 4 months. Parents don't provide anything. So no sanitary pad, no food, nothing. Who's going to take care of that? Our research that we did last 2 years indicates that most of these deaf girls who don't have the sanitary pads and all that, when they have their menses, they go cut some of their own pieces of their own cloth and use that as sanitary pads. Now, this is the case where in the country we have a lot of taxes. Yesterday alone, we were trying. My organization visited the market, wanted to get sanitary pads to donate to the students. One box of sanitary pad costs around 285 Ghana cedis. Just imagine. How many parents can afford that?
Can afford that.
So we are making a very strong recommendation to the government, the stakeholders, and the agencies. I think that it's very important that they give it for free, not only to persons with disability, but to all girls. I think every school, all girls should have access to sanitary pads for free, because it's not easy providing for the sanitary pads.
Okay, thank you very much for coming to the studio, and we pray that all our calls for sanitary pads to be made free will be heeded to by government. So I've been engaging Juventus Dorena. He's Executive Director, Ghana National Association for the Deaf, and Christiana Ya. She's also National Vice President, Ghana National Association for the Deaf, and we've been talking about Menstrual Hygiene Day. We take a quick break. When we return, we still have more conversations on menstrual hygiene. Welcome back to the show. This is still Jay today here on GHOne TV. This morning, I get to sit with an educationist. She's done so well. I know people who attended her school and came out very intelligent. So at least I can attest to the fact that she's done tremendously. Mrs. Florence Ejapong is my guest. She's an educationist, founder, Alpha Beta School. So those of you in Dansaman, this is she's not a stranger to you. The name is also very familiar to you. Alpha Beta School. She's also the president of the Association of International Certificate School, Ghana. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Very well,
Good
thank you.
to see you.
Thank you.
I want to congratulate you on your retirement after so many years of dedicated service. How has it been?
The retirement?
I mean, how has it been running a school for so many years?
Obviously, running a school is always going to be a challenge. But for most of us, it started off as a labor of love. So we knew what we were letting ourselves in for. And so we just got on with it, you know.
But what inspired the establishment of Alpha Beta?
Well, when my husband Sami and I decided that we were going to relocate and live in Ghana, I had been teaching at the secondary level in the UK, and I loved teaching. So we were now beginning our family, or starting our family. So I thought, well, it would be good if I tried to get into the preschool section of teaching. And I had heard about the Montessori course, so I decided to enroll on the Montessori course. One of the reasons I wanted to do the Montessori is because I thought, oh, this would really help me to be the perfect mom for our first child. I mean, none of us ever achieved the goal of being a perfect mom, but that was an ideal I had. So I went on the Montessori course, and it was so exciting. Their approach was so radical to what was being offered at the time. So I thought it would be fantastic if I took that to Ghana and set up. The vision was just for a small school, 50 children, preschool, under a summer hut, a common summer hut. That was the extent of our vision at that time. But obviously, God doesn't give you the whole vision at a go. He gives it to you in bite-sized pieces that you can manage. So that was our plan. But when we got there, we had a few issues with buildings. The building of this summer hut that should have taken just a few weeks. It took us so long. So we started under the carport. Around a circular table, I put 6 chairs. I had 6 children under the carport. And
did those children include yours?
Unfortunately, my children are older than the school.
Okay.
So, but my firstborn, when we got here, she was 2.
Okay.
Now, we weren't ready to start the school, so she had to go to another Montessori, which was Busy Bees. When we came here, there was only Busy Bees functioning as a Montessori school, and later Faith and Alpha Beta joined. Faith Montessori and Alpha Beta opened around the same time. So the Amma Godfrieds came around the same time as us, and we were always best of friends. So so she went to Busy Bees for a while, and so we were still trying to get our structure off the ground. Eventually, we got the summer hut up, and we transferred the children there. We outgrew the hut in no time because the word had spread that there was Montessori in Dansoman, and people were very curious as to what it was and how it differed from other methods. And so we outgrew the first summer hut. We built another summer hut. Outgrew that one, built another summer hut. So there were 3 summer huts on our compound for some time before we got the land to set up what is now known as the main campus of Alpha Beta. And that was 36 years ago that we started under the carport.
Wow. 36 years on, if you look back, what's your greatest milestone?
Greatest milestone. Wow. I think the greatest milestone would be that we got to the point where parents were putting pressure on us to continue because our vision was only for a preschool. And what was happening was that they would leave us and go to another KG. So the parents were a bit distraught because when they got to that KG, they were now learning things that they already knew very well. They could read when they left Alpha Beta Montessori. And so it upset the parents that they were now going to somebody else's KG and they were now doing B, and they said, no, we can't do this. You have got to continue. So they pushed us, and eventually we struggled, but we found the land on the main road there. And I think the fact that we didn't just settle for the vision of a Montessori preschool, and we moved on, because the vision is always evolving, and the vision should evolve. Otherwise, if you stand still, your business will just die. You have to keep going. And I think just getting the land and starting the primary sector of Alpha Beta was a great milestone for us.
If you cast your mind back and take a critical look at all the years of Alpha Beta being in existence, would you say that you relocating was worth it? Were there times you felt, you know what, this is too tiresome, let me just pack my bags and go back?
Never. Because we came with the mindset, that's Reverend Ejapong and I, we came with the mindset that no matter what, we were not going back. But
what pushed you to come back home?
Well, actually, it wasn't really my home. When we met a student in London, and he always made it clear that he was going home.
Okay.
So if the relationship was going to work, I had to be prepared to
you had to compromise.
To go, but I don't regret it. It was rough. It was difficult. It wasn't the best time to relocate to Ghana because Ghana had just gone through the coup d'etat years and all kinds of destabilizing issues. But it was hard. Nobody can say it wasn't hard. It was difficult. I had to acclimatize to a new culture. I had to get used to the fact that we no longer had well-paid jobs and our salaries were coming every month and we knew how much money we had. Sometimes it was literally hand to mouth. But by the grace of God, we got through. Because in England, when you say we're living by faith, it's one thing. But living by faith in Ghana is a completely different experience altogether. And that's
You
what
can
we
say
had
that
to do.
again.
I'm telling you. And that's what we did. It was God that pulled us through all the challenges.
But are you originally from Ghana?
No.
Ah.
I'm of Jamaican descent.
Wow. You have acclimatized so well.
Yeah. Yes.
So do you think that the God factor played a critical role?
Absolutely.
If you were not Christians, do you think you could have pulled through 36 years on?
No, we probably would have run away and gone back to England, the security of England, you know. But God was with us all the way. And I'm so grateful that I wouldn't change anything. If I had to do it all over again, I'd go the same route, including the difficulties, because now we know that we are dependent on Almighty God.
Right.
You know, to get us through. And we shouldn't worry. Yes, you're going to go through challenges, but He's always with you. We came with other people around the same time, and they ran away. They went back. They couldn't cope. They went back to England. We stayed, and it was worth it. Because God has brought us to where we are now.
What distinguishes Alpha Beta from the rest?
Well, we have... A lot of schools will say we're about academic excellence, but Alpha Beta is more than just academic excellence. Yes, we have won a lot of awards for academic excellence, but we are training up ethical children. That is our goal. And so we have the Adinkra Leadership Program, which is our flagship program actually. And the children are exposed to growth opportunities, which not only mature them, but give them a self-confidence that they may not have had before. And so they're exposed to training programs like Christian leadership, entrepreneurial skills, soft skills generally, public speaking, problem solving, teamwork, all kinds of skills, too numerous to mention. And with those skills, it's a transformative approach to education, because we take children, maybe very timid children or whatever, by the time they finish, they're confident, they're bold, they can speak up, they can express an opinion.
Not typical of Ghanaian children.
Maybe not.
For Ghana, a child is very assertive and they say, hey, no.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. No, we don't encourage that kind of thing. Obviously, there's discipline. You have to be respectful to your teachers and all the people around you. But when you see the children, when you look at how they came to you and how they're leaving, because what we've realized is that the Adinkra Leadership Program actually gives them this foundational boost, which enables them to excel when they go into the tertiary sector. Because alumni often come back and talk to us and thank us for what they learned under the ALP. And it has enabled them to grow, to be leaders within the university communities that they find themselves in and outside of the university communities. But they really are very appreciative of the skills that they learned under the ALP. And the parents are too. So I think that's one of the differentiating factors. Obviously, we're a Christian school, and we focus on Christian leadership. So we will have our, let's say, worship sessions on Friday, and a lot of the
Was
time...
it compulsory?
The worship sessions?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a Christian school, so what happens...
Must you be a Christian to attend?
No.
Okay.
You don't have to be
That's
a
why I
Christian.
ask if it's
No,
compulsory.
you don't. We have people from all different faiths there. But when you go into the worship, you'll find that the students themselves are in control of their own leadership program. So they will do the playing of the instruments. We help them to do that. And they will do the singing and sometimes the preaching. They do things that, you know, they enjoy doing. And you don't have to tell them to get ready. Days before, they're preparing for the the worship session, which happens on Friday. We have daily devotion as well. So I think that also stands us apart. It doesn't mean that other schools are not like that, but we are more intentional, if you like,
That's the
about
word.
developing
Being
Christian
intentional.
leadership. Yeah.
Is it easy to run a private school in Ghana?
No, not at all. The simple answer to that is no.
I like the way Reverend Jaboy
It's simply no. It's a challenge, and it's something that you have to want to do, because every day you get to school, you meet a different set of challenges. You know, you meet problems which have to be solved. I think the worst part was when we went through COVID. COVID was literally, it was awful for us. And the responsibilities of running a school nowadays have changed because we've got so many external negative factors. For example, social media is one of the biggest headaches in most schools today.
How so?
Well, it's the kind of exposure that the children get from social media. And the fact that they have these gadgets, very expensive gadgets, they spend so much time on their phones, on their laptops, and it's at the expense of their educational progress. And so we are battling with that, you know, even as we
So then
speak.
you say social media is rather a menace than a savior?
It's a menace. You see, the thing is, social media is a force for good and it's a force for evil. And the students have to be educated about what that force for good and what the force for evil is. And for that, we also need the help of the parents. Now, what we've realized, even from a very early age, 3-, 4-year-olds have got their mobile phones. And they are becoming addicted at a very early age. And that is a problem for all the young people in Ghana. And it's a worldwide problem. So we need the help of the parents to really, if you like, rescue our children from the negative effects of social media. And they are very, very negative indeed. So, yes. So that has made the job of running a school so much more difficult, I think. And also, parents are very busy. It's a busy, when you're a parent, you work for your children. Everybody wants the best for the children. And what we've realized, some parents spend so much time away from their children, working, yes, for the benefit of the children. They don't know half of what is going on with their children. And you find situations in which the maid and the driver know more about the children than some of the parents. I'm not saying all the parents are like that, but there are a growing number of parents who do not spend enough quality time with their children. And that also makes our job a little bit more difficult.
Do you think there are policies that if private schools or private institutions had, it would better your lot?
Policies? Well, we do have policies. And the purpose of policies is to try and help to make the teaching and learning environment as productive and as safe as it can be.
Right.
So policies are there. Now, to make the policies work, the parents have to cooperate with us. So we're back to the parents again. And a lot of the parents actually are very good at cooperating and doing the right thing. You have one or two that stray and can't be bothered. They're too busy. You send home circulars and they don't read them. They come and challenge you on something that you've already communicated to them. But yeah, policies are there and we implement the policies. And for those who don't want to obey the policies, obviously, we have to take disciplinary action because we need a disciplined teaching and learning environment. Yeah.
When free SHS came, there were calls for basic schools to be made free as well. Do you think it will throw a lot of private schools out of business?
Probably, yes. I would say yes, because a private school is a business. They're operating to make a profit. They may not make very much profit. But what happened when they made the SHS free, a lot of private SHSs were just closed down because the options, if you have an option to get your child educated free, you go for it.
Who would want to pay?
Right. So that's what happens. And I'm sure if they did it with the basic school, the same thing would happen.
Yeah. Talking about basic school and students, today is World Menstrual Hygiene Day. There are so many calls to provide free sanitary pads to girls in schools. Do you support this call? Is this a call in the right direction?
If it's free sanitary pads to all the girls in the schools, I would say no. Because I feel that those who can afford to buy sanitary pads should buy them. Because if you're going to give every girl child sanitary towels, now that money could be better spent on other things that we need more urgently. So yes, it should be free for those who cannot afford it, but those who can should pay or should buy their own sanitary towels. That's my opinion.
What does
anyway.
it take to enter Alpha Beta?
What does it take? You need your birth certificate.
Anybody can just walk in and pick.
No,
a form?
you have to be admitted. So we do an admission test, depending on which section of the school you want to go to. We do an admission test to find out what your level is and whether you can cope in the class that you have applied for admission to.
Right.
So we do an assessment test for them. What else do you need? You need a good report from the school that you're coming from. And you need to be able to afford it.
Absolutely. You have a lot of alumni, and what's your relationship like with them?
We get on very well. Some of those who are in Ghana, we see them more often than those who are abroad.
Really?
So we always invite them to our functions and what have you. And if we have sessions where we want them to come and speak to the students about various things, for example, if we're doing a career unit on engineering, we will get one of our alumni who is an engineer to come and talk to the students.
So that's the impact you have on all your students.
Well, we try and use our alumni as much as we can in terms of not only informing the students about careers, but giving them advice on how to be a successful student, what the do's and the don'ts of being successful. And they're more likely to listen to the alumni than they are
you,
to us.
because
so
they have better experience.
Yes, yeah. So whenever we can use them, we do.
Okay, thank you very much for coming, and congratulations once again on your retirement.
Thank you very much.
Maybe someday I'll bring my child to
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So I've been engaging Mrs. Florence Japan. She's an educationist, founder Alpha Beta School, and a president of the Association of International Certificate Schools, Ghana. This is GH Today. We're back shortly. Stay tuned in. Welcome back to the show. We still have more interviews. This is GH Today here on GHOne TV. My name is Lily Mohammed. My guest is the founder or the co-founder of the Buried Alive project. He is the co-founder, he's the CEO and founder of Winergy, philanthropist, entrepreneur. His name is Corey Jacobs. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Good morning. I'm blessed to be here. I'm in the motherland and having an amazing time, incredible hospitality. I couldn't be more happy.
This is your second time in Ghana.
Yes, yes.
How does it feel to be in Ghana for the second time?
I mean, it feels amazing. The first time we came on kind of like a philanthropic mission. You know, we sent over with my brother Umar with Afrikick 6,000 pairs of sneakers, right? You know, and flip-flops and shoes and toys for the kids. We have 20,000 chess sets through an organization I'm a part of called The Gift of Chess, where we've sent tens of thousands of chess boards all around Africa. So, you know, and really the mission is to create a generation of critical thinkers, right? And so we went and opened up chess programs in schools. We went to Michael Blackston's school and served the community there. And I got a chance to really like see Ghana, but I didn't see everything on the first trip. I promise. We had a soccer tournament for the kids. Chiefs came down from the Volta region. We talked to them about different solutions. And there was a few things that I didn't get the chance to get accomplished. And I said, within 6 months, I'll be back. And here I am 5 months later. I'm back in Ghana. It's been incredible. I've been here for about a week, and I've slept 3 hours a night, and I feel energized. I feel amazing.
Have you tried any of her foods?
Oh, yeah. Like they're giving me food, the jollof, the food is coming every day. I'm trying everything, you know, and I feel great. I'm not throwing up. I'm not sick. I feel the hospitality. You know, I really dug into the culture as much as I could, and so you know that's been a blessing.
If you've been able to dig into the culture, do you think that you'd one day want a Ghanaian passport?
Did I want a what?
A Ghanaian passport.
Oh, of course, most definitely, because I feel like, well, my father's from Africa, and he immigrated to the United States in the 1960s, and looking for a better life, you know, and there was a lot of stuff going on in those days when he was 12 years old by himself, and he had to figure it out. And while I was going, you know, through a traumatic time in my life where I was incarcerated in America for a nonviolent crime, he passed away during incarceration.
For nonviolent crime?
Yes, a nonviolent drug crime while I was in college. Right, I ended up getting 16 life sentences, my first offense, and I did 17 years behind the wall of the most highest level prison in America. But I was blessed ultimately to get clemency from President Obama from some of the work that I did in prison. Like I created programs, workforce development. I did everything that I can do to show that I could be a productive member of society and I deserve a second chance. So with this second chance, you know, after I said my father, he was like, make sure you go home when you get out. And although I had life, he said, you're gonna get out, trust me. That's not your destiny. And now
Did you believe you were going to come out?
Yeah, I believe I had a purpose. You know what I'm saying? I believe I had a purpose. I had a bigger reason for being here. I think I had stuff to learn. I had maturing to do, and I had information to get, right, that I went and got. So, you know, it's only right for me to take that information, the business acumen that I had, you know, coming from America, whether it's the entertainment industry or entrepreneurship, and bring it technology, bring ideas, and bring solutions where I think the people need it the most. And I felt like Ghana would be a good place because I knew a lot of people coming from Ghana to America, and I would always host them. So they were like, yo, listen, come to Ghana. Come to Ghana, just get here, and it's all good. So I came to Ghana, and it's been all good.
What's your take on Steve Wonder's now becoming a Ghanaian?
Oh, yeah. Listen, the passport, I would love a Ghanaian passport, but I want to earn it. You know what I'm saying? I want to earn it. By the time I finish coming and doing what I'm doing and giving and not taking, right, I feel like I'm going to be just deserving of the citizenship because of the value I can add and the solutions that I can present due to my journey and what I've experienced.
But for the black community back home,
yes,
what was it like? I mean, learning that Steve Wonder is now Ghanaian.
Yeah, I think it's I think he deserves it. He's a global icon, right? He doesn't have his sight, but he still sees. He still impacts people. He touches your soul, right? More than people that have sight. And he's still alive. He's still here. And I think it was incredible that that was presented to him. I think it was well deserved. I think that he appreciates it, and I think that his message that he's spread from the time and through his music has always been unifying. It's been uplifting. It's worthy of the Ghana culture, who is very hospitable, who is very just incredible people, right? And then as I travel around, I just see what's going on everywhere else. But I know, like, from the hotels, from people on the street, I don't feel like I'm in danger. I feel safe. I mean, obviously, I'm from New York, and I understand things exist. So don't go where, you know, just stay in your lane, and you're pretty much, you know, you're all right in Ghana.
You still work with GHOne Combs?
No, well, GHOne Combs, well, I mean, that was a childhood friend, yes.
So you don't work with him anymore?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, you know. So I think that it's unfortunate that that things happen, you know, when you have a 30-year, you know, run, when you've had intention to empower people, right? And you know, and we all make decisions. Like me, I made decisions that caused me to almost spend the rest of my life in prison, right? And I was redeemed, I was forgiven. You know, I believe that for me, you know, they said I had no value, that I had nothing to contribute, that I would never come back and bring anything into the world, you know, that I had no redeemable qualities. And I feel like they're too easy to throw, you know, people away for just making decisions that they ultimately regret. You know, me, I haven't been here. I've been gone for 20 years, right, with a death sentence. So I wasn't here that entire time, you know. So from 1993 all the way to 2018, I was gone. So I have a different journey. You know what I'm saying? I have a different journey, and I have a different mission and purpose that God won't allow anyone to taint. You know what I'm saying? I'm focused on the mission and to impact and take my bad decisions and turn them into great accomplishments.
Do you think the way black people are treated in the Americas, in Europe, makes them hard and, for want of a better word, tend to shy away people, and hence a lot of black people get in trouble?
I think it's a system, right? I think it's a system. I have an organization called the Buried Alive Project, where, you know, after I got out, you know, I co-founded with an attorney that helped me get my freedom. And because I always felt like I was buried alive by the system. As I move through Ghana, as I see things, you know, and I understand the political system, I feel like, you know, we're being buried alive by the structures that are put in place that you know, inhibit us from fulfilling our potential. So I just went to the Cape Coast yesterday, right? The day before yesterday for the first time, and that was something I didn't do last time. And I walked through the door of no return, right, obviously, and I heard a lot of things about it, and a lot of my, you know, friends tell me I needed to go. And when I walked into the cell, or I walked through that door of no return, which was that door when they sent our people off, they never coming back. But they sent me off through the door of no return. But look, I'm back, right? I'm back, you know, and I'm one of the few that survived and with the information. So I'm coming over here, you know, fired up, you know, on a mission to change the narrative, to change the perspective on us, on individuals that still are incarcerated, that have no way out, and give them hope, but also to show that what happens when you give a person a second chance, what they can do, right? And I want to be that example. Like, listen.
Do you then think the system is unfair to black people?
Of course it's unfair. If you look at the market and if you look at the media, how we're presented, they're showing the worst of us. So when I came to Ghana, another thing, I wanted to show the beautifulness of Ghana, the art, the houses, the food, the culture, not just people walking down the street that don't have anything, which we showed that because that's necessary, but that's not all there is, right? People are entrepreneurs, they're successful, they have visions for the future, right? For their people across the world, and is very intelligent, very smart, right? And so I feel like there's things that, you know, to get back to your question, I feel like it is unfair to give me life in prison, 16 life sentences for a nonviolent crime while I was in college, while I made some bad decisions trying to make extra money to go to school and to get the things I want, to feel empowered. You know, that doesn't deserve for you to never come home again. That's actually wrong, right? So
not to cut you, but
No,
did you
okay.
then feel that because you were a black person,
Yes.
that was why that harsh sentence was handed down to you?
No, 100. I think we've been held back a lot, right? And we always rise out of the worst circumstances, right? So I feel like the laws, you know, and how they're structured, it puts us in a bad position because let's just say the crack law, for instance, and this is what I was sentenced under. You have 1 gram of cocaine is 100 grams of crack cocaine. You need cocaine to make crack. So, but the only people that are actually more in the communities where crack is at is in the black community. So is it being outwardly said? No, but if it's structured that it's 100 to 1, and then 100 times, if it's this much, it's 100 times. What makes it 100 times? That's what gave me 16 life sentences without 1 gram of drugs in the case. So I do think we got it hard. I think black and brown people have it incredibly hard, but we're incredibly resilient, right? And I just want to show that resiliency, that determination, that fight to never give up. And that's what I did for 17 years. Every single day, I understood that could, you know, be part of the goal.
Let me take you back 20 years ago.
Yes.
Or maybe more than 20 years ago. The day of your incarceration.
Yes.
When the judgment was pronounced. Did you hate the system?
I was so dizzy at that particular time. I couldn't even hate. I was just drunk off of the sentence. Because whenever they're giving you a sentence of 16 life sentences, every time they count one sentence, they say, count 1, life. Count 3, life. Count 4, life, life, life. You know, it took me about 5 years to really probably get a little bitter at like, I thought it was wrong, but how do I challenge that
bitterness, that energy.
Yeah, and turn it, because it's not gonna help me get free, right? It's only gonna make me not be able to see clear. So I needed to see clear, so I needed to forgive. I needed to see a way out. How can I get out of this circumstance? And I can't do that by soaking in my misery, by blaming others. I had to take responsibility that I made decisions that led me to where I was at because I was unconscious of the dynamics of what was going on around me, right? And so once I figured that out, then I was ready to fight. So after 5 years, I figured I lost every single appeal that I ever put in. There was no opportunity. And then when Obama came into office, I seen that there was an African-American president in office. I seen that in 8 years, I told myself, I'm gonna be free. I'm gonna get clemency from Obama. And I'm here today.
Do you think at the time, if it was not a black American president, you would have been sitting here?
It would have been tougher. Because certain things were put in place by like Eric Holder, who was who wrote an article about me in the New York Times, talking about my sentence, who was actually African-American Attorney General at the time. You know, I think that if they didn't put these clemency things, initiatives in place, right, to give me an avenue so that I can show my worth, to give me an avenue so that I can show my worth, I feel like, okay, cool. To give me an avenue to show my worth, I think it would have been a lot tougher. A lot tougher. But when we started the Buried Alive project, we was able to get people free. You know, we had 60 lifers out of prison since I've been home.
Okay. How long ago did you set up Buried Alive?
Huh?
How long ago did you set it up? Buried Alive.
Oh yeah, we set it up. Started like when I was on my way out of prison. Okay. Once I got the clemency and I got released and I had a release date, I knew when I was leaving. I said, I felt like I was buried alive by the system, and I've always been a brand person. Like I have Winergy, right? Winergy, it's a mindset. You know, it's a lifestyle brand. So I was like, what kind of brand can we create along with my co-founders, Brittany K. Barnett and Sharonda Jones? And it was like buried alive. Buried alive, because now it goes beyond
was it because you felt you were buried alive?
That's right. I was buried alive by the system. I was suffocating under my sentence, and it's crazy that I named it Buried Alive. I used to have these dreams that I was like buried in like a grave and dirt was thrown on me, and I was like, that's something I would never want to happen.
Do you believe in spirituality?
Yes, 100%.
100%. Do you think those dreams culminated into what happened to you?
Well, no, I think that I didn't try to analyze that. I didn't really try to like analyze that, but I did have, thoughts on, I know our thoughts are powerful, what's happening in our subconscious. I think that I was a unique person that was meant to go through that for my specific skills and solution-based thinking, right? That I would figure it out. I would get in that situation because you need a diverse set of people and experiences to make change, right? And in order for us to really move around, individuals like myself, who's made bad decisions, who experienced incredible hardship, can add to the conversation, right? It ain't just people. It's a diversity amount of people that could come together. I have something to offer, because how can you come up with solutions? Like I just went to one of the prison camps 2 days ago, 3 days ago, and talked about workforce development, because I developed programs. I did workforce development to look at solutions, how to teach the inmates here, give them jobs in agriculture, teach them trades of tailoring, solar, so that they could come out and they not reoffend. Because if they can't come out with a skill, without a plan, without that support, what choices are we leaving them, right? You got people that's in there for stealing a banana. You got just crimes that is just like, wow. If you're you're hungry, what can you do, right? And so to throw them away and then to release them back to
Sometimes
society.
it's just mothers who want to feed their children.
It's mothers that want to feed their children. So I went into the prison and I started looking because I was there. I created programs and I can come in with concepts
So you
and
have a
ideas.
better understanding.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's where a lot of times, even in the prison, they fell short, and why I had created some of these programs because they wasn't offering them. So I'm not a person that likes to complain. I like to take my life into my own hands and come with a solution, right? So I came with these programs. So I feel like, yeah, there's a lot that can be done. We just got to have those who have the knowledge to come together and that's willing, right? I don't have to do it. I could just live my life, lay back on the beach somewhere and just be like, I'm glad I got out of prison. But I feel like that would be a slap in the...
Enjoy all those wasted years.
Yeah, but I feel like I was blessed with my freedom because God knew what I would do,
Absolutely.
right, when I got out. And I'm doing what I said. So that's just where I'm at.
What's your word of advice for young people, especially those in the art and entertainment industry?
Yes.
Those who are engaged in vices.
Yeah, I think that, a lot of times, don't allow these material things, to separate you from yourself, right? And separate you from your higher power. I think we start to worship in these things. We start, I was no different. If I got a rollie on right now, but I mean, before I worshiped the rollie. So it's your relationship to things. I did 17 years in prison and I had to wear the same clothes every day. And that was just like a wake-up call. It's about your character, what you got inside. It's about family. We got this one life to live, depending on, obviously, what you believe in. And I feel like it's important to have patience. A lot of times when we're young, and I was in college, I was going to school, I thought that by the time I'm 30, it'll be over. Look, I'm 54. You thought I was a little younger than I am. It's all in your spirit. So I just want to tell young people that you can make the impossible possible. Making the impossible possible is possible. You know what I'm saying? Right. And don't ever give up on life. You can make bad decisions, but don't let those decisions define you, right? And there's always a way. People told me there was no way out of my situation, and I just didn't believe that.
Because there's always.
It's always a way.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
I'm inspired. I'm sure a lot of young people are inspired. Thank you so much for coming.
Yes, I appreciate
We
you.
really appreciate it.
So thank you for having me. And
You're
I'll
welcome.
be back in less than 6 months.
Please do.
Yes.
We want more of your charity works. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
There are a lot of people who are incarcerated and need help. So we think that...
and I'm here to help. I have a few solutions. I think, just get started. Let's have the conversation and let's take action. That's the key. You can do all the philosophizing we want to do, but if we don't take action, nothing's going to get done.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
All right, let's go.
Else we're not going to close today. So that's Corey Jacobs. He is the CEO and founder of Energy Philanthropist, entrepreneur and co-founder of the Buried Alive Project. That's it for GH Today.